When you thought it couldn't get any worse, these two stories are out in the open. Headline news. We have a group that's now threatening cities and how they want to start riots back in the cities, all because of one thing that actually was legitimate and justifiable. But no, not to one group of people. So they're going to go ahead and not protest, not peacefully get together. No, his plan and his words were to riot and cause problems in the cities. We're going to talk about that and also what you should be doing to prepare for that. Secondly, we're also going to discuss Syria. Now, everybody seems to be talking about Syria, but we're missing out on a few key details. Tyrannical leader, yes. Dictator, yes. However, now it may be a powder keg that could extremely go wrong. And we're going to talk about how we could be the fault of that. It will blow your mind. News stories that just broke out that emerge that will probably not surprise you, but ultimately it does put us in a very precarious situation. Again, in the Middle East, who would have thought it? And we thought, again, we have a new president getting installed in less than, 2 months, 50 days, 45 days? And these people cannot stop what they're doing. They're going to do everything in their power to cause a problem for Trump. Let's dive into these two stories, and then we're going to talk about some of the things that you need to prepare, especially if you live in the city, and how important it is. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. We're actually going out of town, so that's why I'm not in the farm attire, and also it's flooding outside, so you don't get to see the prettiness of our landscape or get to see the farm scenes today, so I'm sorry about that. But I still wanted to get some information to you and things that we needed to talk about for today. Now, if you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up, and that way you can see what goes on each and every day and talk about some of the news, but also the prepping needs that we're needing, and also living sustainable and having a common sense approach. That's kind of what we talk about each and every day. So please subscribe to us, and that way you will be up to date with what goes on. Now, I did a live last night. Remember, I'm going to do lives throughout this month in January. So please, if you haven't watched that, go check it out, because we talk about some of these things and we like rapid fire questions. So go check that out if you want to get my opinion on a lot of different topics that we hit last night. A few more things. We share a lot of things on X, so check me out on X, the Colby Mag. Also, we share on TikTok, and a lot of that's just quick rants or at least some farm things. I had a farm video of a calf being born and how we had to assist in that. I have some more videos of the kids, working on the farm. Just a great thing. So check both of those other means out. That way you can see our family from different angles for sure. Now, let's talk about the stories of the day. First, let's talk about Syria, and then we're going to roll into the cities and what we've learned from the cities in panic and chaos, and then how we should address that and making sure that we are prepared. Now, first, Syria. Big problem. Big problem. Tyrannical leader has caused problems for his people for a long time. Get it. But what you don't understand is sometimes in these Middle Eastern areas, these states, these countries, what happens is these people have not assimilated together. There's different people groups, and they don't like each other. And as much as we don't understand that, and as much as we want peace, and as much as we want some kind of democracy, some people just don't want that. And some people will fight, and the Middle East is one of those places. Now, you can get mad at me for saying that, but we're seeing exactly what happened. Have we thought about Libya? Have we thought about Lebanon? Have we thought about Yemen? Have we thought about Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran back in the 70s and 80s? It seems like when regime changes, we say, well, we got to get these tyrannical leaders out. What actually happens is we make for more tyrannical leaders to come in, and more tribalism and more civil wars. You don't believe it? Prime example, Assad. Assad gets out. We find out, Biden released last night that the CIA is backing one group, the DOD is backing another group, and now we have the people that were faithful to Assad all vying for power. 3 to 4 different factions. And guess what? We're funding the rebels on both sides. So now our taxpayers are paying for people to fight on one side, to fight the other people on the other side our taxpayers are fighting against, and we're funneling money to both. Now, that shouldn't surprise you because you've heard that story before. But when we look at all the problems that we've caused in a lot of these areas, most of it comes back to us spending money to fund a regime change, to then turn around and see that it didn't work. What has government actually done for us that actually worked? Not too much. And Trump said something back in 2016. You remember, this is not the only time this happened in Syria. 2013 to 2016, 2017, they were in all-out war all the time. Millions of people, not there anymore because of that. And instead of allowing them to deal with their own problems, we go in and we fund this to have a regime change. Now, I guess everybody thought, well, they were just all going to get along. All these tribes and all these people groups, all these rebels were just going to get together and build this wonderful government of democracy. Come on, people. I mean, what have we not learned from history? It hasn't worked anywhere. We spent 20 years fighting a war in Afghanistan and Iraq for them to fall back in the same problems the terrible problems that we went there in the first place for. Now, what actually happened is now we're funding rebel groups. Now, listen, they're fighting each other now, so now it's worse on the people of Syria. Now, they were in the streets happy that Assad was gone, but depending on what side of the rebel groups that you're on, now you're going to deal with infighting and more war. Here's another problem. The Christians under Assad, yes, all people groups were under a dictator, tyrannical leader with Assad. Not perfect. By no means. I will never take up for him. But they actually said these militant groups, these Muslim militant groups, these rebel groups that we're funding is now going to persecute Christians and kill them. They're going to bring more persecution than what Assad brought them. Guess what else? Once they got in the capital, guess what was said? One of the militant group rebels that we're paying for said that now that we've taken Syria, I guess because they feel better and they believe that they can do anything because they're using our money, they're going after Israel next, and then Christians, and then America. We're funding terror in the Middle East. Does that not blow your mind? Now remember, there was a report that came out a few weeks ago about us funding Taliban still. Now we fought them in wars, and all of a sudden we're funding them. Same situation here. So now we have funded a civil war to then cause problems for them to, whoever comes to power is going to persecute Christians in Israel and then coming for America. I mean, help me understand how that makes sense. And it's done by an administration that is leaving power. You don't believe this happens? Go back and look at the interview with Biden last night. We are the reason this happened. And they're taking it as a W, a win. Yeah, you ran one tyrannical leader out to now calls for a civil war, more people to die, and then on top of that, we don't know who's going to rise to power. Guess what? The reason we got Assad out because he was tied to Russia. That's the truth. And what's even worse now is now you have Russia, China, Iran, Turkey's bombing, Israel's bombing, United States started bombing. So now you've built a powder keg. And now everybody's looking for power in Syria. Why do we do the things that we do? Ukraine, regime change 2014. Biden was over it. Look at what it's become. All-out war with hundreds of thousands of men from Eastern European cultures and Russian cultures have fallen. Middle East, I mean, again, what have we done other than cause more problems? What does the government touch that actually gets better for you? Think about it. There was a new report that came out that Doge put out that said that post office, and this has nothing to do with Syria, but I'm trying to bring precedent back to the fact that our government is inept. The post office comes in and says, okay, we're sending 80% less mail because people are emailing, bills are going out, things are changing. But we've hired 30 to 40% more employees. So the federal government under the Postal Service has hired 30 to 40% more employees to deliver 80% less mail. Now think about what I just said. Their jobs are leaving them, but we hire more people to fill the jobs that are leaving. And not only that, we hire over and above, so now we've got a deficit in the Postal Service. All right, that's just one example. The DOD, they're still missing $400 billion, so nobody knows how to audit and find out where it's at. That's what I'm saying. What has the government done that actually is good? All we've done is cause a problem in the Middle East, and we need to make sure that we are paying attention to this. And you know what we need to do? All the establishment, because that's the ones that start these kind of things. It's not even the French left, definitely not the French right. It's the establishment, the uniparty, that starts this because they know they get the kickbacks, because they know if war breaks out, then that's just more money for them. It's a sad, pathetic way of looking at it. You don't believe that happens? Look at the Clinton family, look at the Bush family, look at the Cheneys. Look at all these establishment Republican or Democrats, no matter if there's an R&D behind their name. they're not getting rich just because they gain an annual salary from a Congress or Senate payroll. It's other means. And this causes more problems for them to quote-unquote send people in to fix. That's what happens. And the State Department, the DOD, the Pentagon, and CIA are the ones at fault. They're literally paying for both sides to now end up in a civil war. So who's going to protect the Christians over there now? Who's going to protect Israel? Who's going to protect the situation with the people of Syria, who is now going to be in the midst of another civil war? But Biden came out yesterday with the W. He was so happy that we funded all this. What did we actually do but cause more problems? I struggle with those kind of stories because I'm thinking, we just should not be over there. Trump made a comment back in 2016 with John Bolton sitting behind him, which I think was kind of funny. But he made a comment. He said, "It's not our war. We shouldn't even be in there." And this was literally 8 years ago when he said this. He says, this is their problem and their problem to fix. Whatever they choose to do, however they choose to do it, it doesn't involve us. And that's truth. Now you can say, oh, well, guess what? What if all of a sudden somebody bad comes to power? Well, somebody bad was in power, now you got more problems in power. Trump was right. Let them fight their battles. Let us control what goes on here, and let's protect ourselves and protect our allies, not get involved in all these frivolous wars like we're doing right now. So Trump called this 8 years ago, and now he came out yesterday and said the same thing. He said, this is not our battle, and we should be ashamed of ourselves for getting involved. That's the way we should look. It's not about isolationists. It's about looking at America and what can America do for its people. Think of the billions that we just funneled to these two rebel groups in Syria. Wouldn't that have done a lot more work in North Carolina? Wouldn't that have done a lot more work for people who are in piles of debt and can't see the light at the end of the tunnel? Wouldn't that have done so much work for veterans? Wouldn't that have done so much work for people that has major problems in America that we could fix? No, we have to funnel things over to the Middle East. Speaking of America and the problems that we have, BLM came out of New York, said that if Penny goes free and gets fully acquitted, we're rioting. Now, here's the thing. That's exactly what he said. We're going to go to the major cities over America and we're going to riot. Blamed all this stuff on the same things they always blame on. They want to act like this guy that was causing problems in the subway, that was threatening everyone, was the one that was in the riot, and he was just an angel. He was just a Michael Jackson impersonator. I mean, he was a great guy. And this guy who was a good citizen protected the people on the train, and everybody saw that. Now the question is, he's in New York, made up of a bunch of liberals, leftists. So the question is, are they going to let him go free? I think the whole point of what BLM was saying is they're threatening basically the judicial system, and the jurors to basically say, you let this guy out, we're going to burn your cities down. He said, riot. We're going to bring riots to the city. So think about that for a second. If you're in the cities, what does that make you feel like? You're saying, oh my gosh, I hope that doesn't happen. So then you're literally willing to give up law and order just so you don't have to deal with the craziness of riots, of looting, of breaking and entering. That's exactly what would happen. But you know why he said riots and not protests? You know why he said not peacefully? He said we're going to cause problems. Because he knows no one's going to do anything about it, especially in these liberal cities. So this is why I say you have to be prepared. You have to make sure that you're protecting yourself. Because just like the CEO from last week was a target of a problem there, just like the mayor of New York has come out and he's trying to work with Trump and go around the sanctuary laws to get a hold of the gang problems and the migrant issues that's going on. Just like he even said that Daniel Penny really probably didn't do anything wrong. What these cities are starting to wake up to is they can't control the problems anymore. And then on top of that, you throw riots in there. So if you're living in these cities, it's kind of like the people of Syria. You're in a powder keg, and you really don't know how safe you truly are, especially if something breaks out. So that's why, yes, we need to talk about the issues, but we also need to be prepared for the issues. Now, I want to talk about 5 things. I want to talk about 5 things that you should make sure that you have if you live in these cities. Because no one's coming to help you and protect you. Don't believe that. There's not one city that's actually fully staffed when it comes to having officers. Not one city. And if so, they hold and tie their hands to a point where they cannot protect you. They're more worried about letting these people just ravish your cities. New York City mayor came out and said that he doesn't want this to happen. The question is it going to happen? And is he going to do anything to stop it? There's cities, there's words of New York City and several other big cities across America who is boarding up certain areas because they know that they see that Daniel Penny was innocent. They say he didn't do anything wrong. And if all of a sudden he gets fully acquitted and charges dropped, they want to be prepared that way they won't lose everything they have. Now, you as an American, who's protecting you? The financial money is going across the seas and not worry about you. The cities are in peril, and you can't tell me they're not. There's not one city that's better off than what it was just 4 years ago. Now, they might not report certain misdemeanors anymore, but the thing is, they're still crime-ridden. So here's what I would do if I was you. Number one, self-defense. You have to learn how to carry, and you have to learn how to operate a Second Amendment tool. Now, I have to be very vague in how I'm saying this, but to be honest with you, you need to know how to protect yourself. Now, I'll be honest with you, I did years of karate. I'm pretty good with my hands and feet. But even me, guess what? I'm going to carry. I'm going to protect my family, and not just with hands and feet. It's going to be with projectiles, brass, and something that's metal. That's what you have to make sure of. You have to have protection. Now, pepper spray's good, and batons, you can have all that. That's all great. But you better learn how to do more than just that. Number one, learn how to use your Second Amendment rights for your benefit to protect you, because no one's looking out for you other than yourself. And who's going to protect your family more than you? You love them more than anyone. So I'm thinking that needs to be the best thing, is to make sure you can protect it and defend it. Number two, you need to have food and water at least for 3 to 5 days. Just think if these city riots break out. If the jury comes back today and says that Daniel Penny did nothing wrong or had such a low charge that it doesn't really matter, and they start rioting tonight, tomorrow night in these cities. If you needed medicine, food, and water, if you had to go to your local Walgreens, CVS, Target, or Walmart, you can go online right now and Google every one of those names I just said, and I promise you're going to see riots and loots, and you're going to see some kind of looting, riots, from 2020 to now of damage to those places. Now, what if you're in those stores? How safe are you? You shouldn't be wanting to get out and get a loaf of bread. You shouldn't be wanting to get out and get some water. You shouldn't be wanting to get out and get your medicine. You should have those things because it's good to have. What did I tell you about prepping? Prepping is about insurance. I have health insurance, I have life insurance, I have fire insurance, I have property insurance. I really have too many insurances, but I have those insurances not because I want to use them. I don't want my wife to have to honor my life insurance. I'd rather be here with them. I have them, though, for just in case. The point of prepping and having things is not to have to use it all the time. It's to have it to know that if you need it, it's there. I carry, but I carry because I don't want to use it. I carry because if I have to be put in that precarious situation, I want to be prepared. I want to have food at my home because I want to be prepared. Water in my home, I want to be prepared. Now, number three, money. You need to have some cash money. If you had to go to an ATM while the cities are going nuts and it's late at night and you're going to check out an ATM to get some money out of there, do you think you're being watched? Do you think that you're sexually safe? When people are rioting, looting, you think they're going to leave you out and say, okay, hey, they're good people. Leave them alone. No. So you better have some cash. I always say have 3 to 6 months, but you can't get that bottled up right now. But you may say, hey, let me just have at least a week or two's worth of cash to be able to utilize if I ever had to. If I have to go out, that's one less place I have to go. I don't have to go to a bank. I don't have to go to an ATM. I can walk in, walk out, get done with things that need to be done. It's good to have cash anyway. But make sure that you're not dependent on going to a bank or using your ATM to go get cash when you're in a precarious situation, especially in these cities like we have seen and now like we've been threatened. Now, number four. Number one was about defending. No doubt, you need to defend, and that's defending you. But what about your home? You talk about having all these things, water, food, all your prepping goods. You need to have something on your doors and windows. You need to have sticker bushes under your windows if you live in a suburban area. If you live in an apartment, make sure you have something like the doorcade or some kind of bar mechanism that could hinder people from getting into your home. You know why when riots and loots happen and the cities go into chaos and they go to those big stores and loot and they go to 7-Elevens? Because most of it's made up of windows and they can get in and out quickly. Most of their doors are not locked. They can get in and out quickly. So why don't we make it where not only do we protect ourselves, we protect our homes, we protect our windows, we protect our doors. There's tons of videos of me showing you how to protect your goods. But off the top of my head is doorcade. You could put a bar across your door, like the old school way of locking a door back in the day. You can have second and third ways of having an alarm system. You can have other mechanical locks on your door. Find ways to make sure that you are safe inside your home. Because if you did all this work and then your home is not safe and you can't defend it, then you've done nothing. You've just been a sitting duck for people to come in and grab your stuff. Now again, I'm not telling you this to make you fear. I'm telling you this because this is the world we live in. I'm not telling you any news that has not been released by BLM and by the regime dealing with Biden talking about the Syrian regime. And now you've got people, groups saying they're coming to America after they handle Israel and after they take that over too. Now, will they do that? No, but we funneled the money. They caused the mischief and the problems. And so now what do? We overregulate situations. Think of most of your cities. Most of your cities won't let you carry, or they make it so hard to be able to have a Second Amendment right. Is that right? No. What they're saying is, well, it's just so bad out here, and we need to make sure we protect you, so they don't want you having a way to defend yourself. Make sure that you find ways to defend yourself. Get the permits, whatever you need. It is what it is. But you need to be able to protect yourself, but also protect your home with the things that we just talked about. Now, number 5, lastly. Now, you're going to say, "Oh, this makes no sense," but it does. The reason I talk about these stories is to inform you. Number 5 is you need to have knowledge, wisdom, common sense, and spiritual prepping. We live in a chaotic, volatile world, and we live in a time where Trump's getting threatened pretty regularly. A Secret Service agent just came out, a former Secret Service agent just came out and said, and this is a Zero Hedge article if you want to go back and check it, he said Trump is not safe. We would not be able to protect him the way that he needs protection because of who he is targeting, how he's targeting, and what he's doing, and how he is threatening Washington and how they've operated for so long. This is a former Secret Service agent saying this. He's not trying to be on the news. He's just saying it's true. You've got to have protection. And even down to Trump and his team have got to have protection. So if they have to have protection and they're pushing against these narratives, and all of a sudden the cities are still in chaos, the fact that we're causing more problems across the world, you don't think you need to protect yourself better? Come on. You need to have that knowledge and wisdom and common sense approach to say, you know what, I hope we don't have to use our preps. I hope we don't have to use the Second Amendment rights. I hope we don't have to protect our home from anything like that. I don't want to know about this chaos. We can put our head in the sand, or we can know what's going on in our world so that way we can be prepared. I challenge you to pray, of course, over our nation, over our leaders. You would think that Biden and a lot of these people that's in leadership now that just got voted out wouldn't be doing too much. You'd think it'd almost be quote unquote lame duck session. But it's not. And we're causing more and more mischief across the world. And like Trump said, he says, it's not our battle, it's not our fight. We need to worry about America. That kind of mentality is going to put him in a very precarious situation because you believe the establishment is going to take that laying down? The uniparty is going to take that laying down? No. They're going to cause more problems. And I think we're seeing both of those situations in our cities and across the world. We're building a powder keg not only in the Middle East. We're building one in Ukraine. We're building one in China. And now we're building one in America, in our cities. We have to make sure we are prepared. So these few things, make sure you have knowledge, make sure that you are prepared by defending yourself, make sure you defend your home, make sure you have the preps that you're needing, water, food, medicine, and make sure that you are ready to deal with this. Have some cash on hand just in case. Now, hopefully none of that stuff will happen and you can go about your day and not even think about this. But when we have knowledge and wisdom and a common sense, it helps us be prepared for those things and be mindful to basically have your head on a swivel is what we like to say. Know that anything and everything could bust out at any point. The powder keg can blow at any point. And if it blows, and if you're prepared and you have the things you need, you won't be worried about it. Guys, let me know your thoughts on these two stories. Literally threats of riots in our cities, which will cause panic. Remember, 80% of people live in cities in America. That's crazy to me. That's mind-blowing. But that means you are dependent on the city to feed, to take care of you, to make sure you have all the needs that you're needing. You're going out and getting from the city. So therefore, you have to be prepared and safe when something like that takes place. And then, of course, we need to stay out of everybody else's issues. Syria has got a major problem now. And I pray for the Christians over there. I pray for the people groups over there, the tribes over there, because what's going to happen is you're going to see more people suffer. now because there was no game plan. Let's just cause a problem and let it happen. We should never cause the problem. We should let them do what they do and let them live their own way and be the Syria they want to be. They're not America, and we should keep our 2 cents out of it. Let me know your thoughts on the video. Hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.